So we were talking about Beast Wars as a podcast about two comedians rewatching the 1990s TV series Beast Wars Transformers. Although we are discussing a children's television show, the podcast itself is not intended for children. So Phil, in this episode, I was a little surprised by one thing. Even Waspinator is not exempt from the predominant Predacon ambition and self-aggrandizing that we see from a lot of the other Predacons. Unless you think he was just hopped up on sugar during that grumbling rant that he had.
Oh, rants. Somebody talking about Apetimus?
Oh, hey, Apetimus. I was actually talking about Waspinator. But yeah, you got something to get off your chest?
If you're talking about, would I do the same thing, brother? Hopped up on sugar? Not me. No, sir. I had to give it up. I had to give up the sauce. And by sauce, I meant the simple syrup. You eat that stuff straight, you're in for a bad trip, brother. Straight for Anxiety Alley. The Wild Walk. Head straight to Jitter's Jail. And finally, come down cul-de-sac. Well, you won't find me at any of those addresses, amigo. Mark me as a population of one at a beach town called Bananas.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad you're taking care of yourself, man.
I'm on the straight and narrow, brother.
We've heard too many stories of celebrities like you who start off full of promise and then get drawn down into bad habits.
I know. It was a real un-Apetimus thing to do to get this turned around. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go compulsively buy a lot of stuff on Amazon.com.
All right. Well, yeah, take care. Phil, we might still need to, I think, arrange some sort of ape intervention. So we were talking about Beast Wars.
We were talking about Beast Wars. I'm Phil Thomas.
I'm Andy Hunter. Thank you for joining us. Today we are talking about Beast Wars Season 1, Episode 9, A Better Mousetrap.
I really enjoyed this episode. This was fun to rewatch.
Yeah. We start off with some Predacons underneath the Maximal base working to blow a hole under it. As we said last episode, Black Arachne is back. What was the point of having her be missing at the end of last episode's fight? I guess maybe just to establish that she'll sometimes be doing her own thing.
Yeah, there's a little cabal of characters on the show who just kind of go off and do their own thing, and that's fine.
It is interesting that in earlier episodes, the Predacons were portrayed as they're the ones who will get in line, whereas the Maximals were the ones who would bicker, and they all need to express their own point of view, and we need to reach consensus. But now we are starting to see that the Predacons will get in line when they have to, but some of them will also have their own side projects and stuff going on to advance their own ends. A new interesting wrinkle.
Yeah, maybe they all have really rapey tarantula slayers.
Oh, you know what? I'm fine to go most of this episode without delving into Tarantulas' extracurricular activities.
Okay, we'll shelve that.
In the Maximal base, Rhinoct and Rattrap are showing off Sentinel, their new base defense program. I guess maybe addressing the issue that a couple episodes ago we were talking about how the Maximals have autocannons that just target anything as opposed to distinguishing friend from foes. And I guess this is perhaps meant to address that.
Yeah, it's a cool little piece of world building. I didn't realize all of this stuff happened, but yeah, it does kind of make sense.
Yeah. They say it will be ready in 3 to 4 megacycles, which I guess maybe are analogous to hours, if cycles are roughly analogous to minutes, because they also use the term days in this episode.
I took it to also mean hours.
Yeah. They say that Waspinator is the third Predacon they've seen in the area in the last 3 days. And as we follow Waspinator, we hear his annoyed grumbling about how he's the best and he should be leading the Predacons. I found that to be both funny, just because Waspinator has a funny, cute voice. And so hearing him say, Waspinator rules, was funny. But also, like I said, an interesting insight that even among the more weak-willed of the Predacons, a commonality among them could still be ambition.
Yeah, maybe they all, at some point or another, feel like they should be the leader.
Yeah, I guess we haven't seen that with Scorponok yet. That he is very much lockstep. I follow Megatron.
It's probably why he ends up dead.
Spoilers, man. Spoilers.
Oh, yeah, sorry. You can cut that.
No. We assume everybody watching the show is an old school Beast Wars fan. Because why would somebody who is watching Beast Wars for the first time be investigating this podcast?
Yeah, it's not like Little Women, where that's a major spoiler that one of them dies. Sorry if everybody came to this podcast straight from a Little Women podcast.
No, I do have to call bullshit on that because the Venn diagram between people listening to our podcast and people listening to Little Women podcasts is just a single circle.
It's certainly got one person in it. I would assume my fiance is in that because I forced her to listen to one. Speaking of which, she was watching this episode with me and she noted that Waspinator reminds her a lot of Golem from Lord of the Rings in that they both have the same voice and they both talk about themselves in the third person.
Oh, yeah. Andy Serkis, if you based your portrayal of Gollum on Waspinator, Beast Wars did come out before the Lord of the Rings movies were filmed. Hit us up. We'd love to have you on the show. You're going to be in New Zealand in the next couple of years filming new Lord of the Rings movies, so I'm nearby. How about this? I'll do you a solid, let you on my podcast so you can promote your little Lord of the Rings movie. And if you want, if you're really hurting for people, you can chuck me in the movie. Whatever, I'll do you a favor.
Wait a minute. Really? The only guest we had talked about bringing on here was Tilda Swinton. Now we have to have Andy Serkis too?
Yeah, bitch. Get in line.
Any Andy is grandfathered in. He can just
Yes. So Optimus and Tigatron chase Waspinator. I did note last episode we were right in Tigatron's neighborhood in the frozen north and he didn't show up. Here he's in a jungle and he's able to pitch in. Maybe he realized, wait a second, there's no such thing as white Siberian tigers. I'm actually just now buying a Bengal tiger. And he moved to the jungle.
Or maybe he just realized he was cold.
Maybe. While Optimus was chasing Waspinator, one thing that occurred to me was that we really don't see Waspinator fighting in beast mode very often. Like he just flies away. Even though of the animals on this show, wasps are among the ones that the average human is most likely to get injured by. It's a bit like we associate wasps with they will sting you. They have a sharp weapon on their body. But I don't think we ever see Waspinator stabbing anybody with his wasp stinger.
Is that a weapon?
You mean like for real wasps? Is it a weapon? Or
no, is it? Yeah, you would think that his gun was like mounted to his thorax. And then when he transforms, he just pulls the gun out of the stinger.
Maybe. I think in the toy, that is what the case was. But still, I mean, we do see tarantulas, trying to bite people. So I would think Waspinator's stinger would hurt. But I don't think we ever see him using it.
That's a good point. That's really funny. I'm going to be on the lookout for that in the next few episodes then.
And I guess maybe they can't do it because it just looks like being stabbed with a giant thing. And they're not really allowed to show. Like, they're allowed to show people getting hit with round energy blasts, but they can't actually show, like, just stabbing somebody with something super sharp, maybe.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Back at the Maximal base, Dinobot demands that they include deadlier defenses in Sentinel. As always, that is the perspective Dinobot takes. Like, why are you Maximals always pussyfooting around, just wanting to capture people non-lethally? But then he gets so mad, he breaks out of his binds when they demonstrate Sentinel on him. And he stabs the console in a blind rage, which, had they not gotten out of the way, would he have stabbed Rhinox? Dinobot has a temper, but usually we don't see him just fly off the handle and just stab the nearest thing.
That's a good point. I guess that doesn't make any sense. He should have just gone for Rattrap, right?
Yeah, you'd think. I know it's just because that's what the episode needed. But anyway, this activates Sentinel, and they've not yet installed the friend or foe program, so it identifies all the Maximals as threats. This is a pretty overdone sci-fi trope where when you break something, it will turn it on or turn it off or like whatever the situation needs. Later on in the episode, we see Rattrap shooting a door switch and it opens the door. I know that's just a convention, but in real life, if I stabbed my keyboard, my computer wouldn't turn evil and start trying to kill me or really do anything. It would just be like, all right, I'm getting no input now, so I'll just keep doing what I was doing.
I will tie this back to the 90s. And something that happened in high school. I don't know if you remember this. I was an aide for the English department. And one of my tasks one day was to wait outside of Dr. Martyr's car for AAA to come and to go get him when AAA arrived. So I'm out there. And the reason he called AAA was that he was locked out of his car. And the keyless entry mechanism they had was like a 10-digit pad on the handle, all in a row, like 0 through 9. And you have to put a 3-digit code in to get into the car.
Okay.
So one of the things that I considered doing was, what if I just rubbed my finger across the pad 3 times? And I did it, and the door popped open.
Whoa.
So then I shut the door, and then I ran to Dr. Martyr, and I was like, Dr. Martyr, that happened. And he's like, oh, okay. Wow, that's crazy. I'll come out and try that later. And then there was another kid with me later, and he was like, that can't happen. You can't do that. I'm like, I swear, here's exactly how I did it. And I went 1, 2, 3, and it popped open again. So in the 90s, I think it's possible that things worked like that more than they do now.
Okay. You know what? That actually does remind me. Also in high school, I was up late working on some paper or other. Our computer was in the basement of our house. It was always cold, so sometimes I had to run a space heater. And I remember I was just, I think I just like honked out and just fell asleep on the computer keyboard. And it broke the keyboard. And the space heater came to life and tried to kill my whole family.
Why did I fall for that?
So we were talking about Beast Wars. Sentinel is now, targeting all the Maximals. I found it very funny that Rhinox makes Cheetor carry Dinobot out of the base because, of course, Dinobot has been electrocuted. He can't walk himself out. I found this so funny because Rhinox is clearly much bigger and stronger than Cheetor. Like, Cheetor is about half Dinobot's size. So to me, it's just very funny that Rhinox is like, you, Pipsqueak, drag that giant guy out of here. I'm going to stand here and bark orders.
Yeah, and then it's like, we need somebody giant to guard the door. Rattrap, get on that.
Rattrap opts to stay behind to fix his mess. And he says, he's starting to sound like Optimus Pinhead. And I thought, ooh. How would our friend Apetimus respond to one of his underlings?
Wait a minute. Hey, I think there's somebody over your shoulder trying to get at the microphone. Who is that?
Who do you think it is, fool? It's me, Apetimus Prime.
Oh my God, perfect timing. Hey, Apetimus, do you have any thoughts on this part of the episode?
Well, let's just say, Rattrap would have to say it behind my back. I mean, listen, I know I do a lot of reckless things. It's my brand. But calling me a pinhead is just a bridge too far.
A bridge too far, Apetimus.
Yeah. Sure, you can call me Apetimus, pinball lover. Because I play mean pinball. Call me Apetimus Package Full of Bananas. Because I'm well known for ordering giant packages of bananas. But Pinhead, Apetimus has feelings too.
I understand that, Apetimus. You are not just a pinhead. You're somebody who's an aficionado of pinball and bananas. You're not just a pinball wizard. You're a pinball banana wizard.
Apetimus pins and needles would be fine because
I make y'all tingly.
Yeah, my skin did start to tingle when you were over Andy's shoulder. I was like, oh shit, here it comes.
Yeah, the hair stood up on the back of my neck. Shut up, I've got the mic right now. Oh, okay, man, okay.
Wow, damn. I didn't realize you had Apetimus over there, Andy.
I think I'm allowed to talk later. So, yeah, when I'm done. Anyway, long story short.
Are you going to narrate the rest of the episode, Apetimus?
No, I'm almost done. I'm just saying, long story short, on the scale of apeshit to bullshit, Optimus Pinhead is bullshit. Excuse me. Oh. Yeah, here, have a tissue, Apetimus. Oh, wow, yeah, Apetimus has feelings, too. It just goes to show a gruff exterior can sometimes hide a tender heart.
Sometimes they can hide a tender coconut, too.
Obviously.
I don't know if coconuts exist in the same climates as gorillas. I guess not.
Well, I don't know if this is actually true. In my mind, coconuts are like a tropical island kind of thing, whereas gorillas are... We all know I know where gorillas live, so there's no need for me to actually say it out loud.
I assume like landlocked, dense forest jungle areas.
I think... Although, I mean, according to Beast Wars, they live in trees near rhinoceroses. So,
yeah. And boy, the conversations they get into.
So we cut back to Optimus and Tigertron chasing Waspinator. Optimus, when he gets the call from Sentinel, he's like, I gotta go back and investigate this. I'll send some backup. Tigertron really bristles at the idea of having backup. As I said in his introductory episode, Tigertron was originally intended to be the toy Wolfang. And so apparently a lot of his early characterization as a lone wolf is a holdover from that idea.
Oh, that's cool. That actually does make a lot of sense.
Back at the Maximal base, Rattrap doing his thing. As he's surfing on the zero friction gel, there's cheesy surfer music. There are a few instances in this episode of jokes that were really aimed at kids that to me kind of only work for kids and don't also hold up watching as an adult. That was the first of them.
Do you think kids actually found that funny?
I don't know. My younger brother and I watched Beast Wars together, and he would have been around 9 or 10 at the time. And I don't remember actually if he laughed at those kinds of jokes. I just remember knowing that we both liked playing with the toys together. But also, one thing that occurred to me with that zero friction gel, they're always having to just run to their missions in beast mode. It seems to me like if they had zero friction gel, they could build some sort of vehicle and coat the bottom of it with zero friction gel and get to their missions much faster.
Yeah, some sort of... They could do a bullet train, and then they could have all the bullet train montages they want.
Yeah, but don't go too fast, or else you'll fall off a cliff and have to dangle precariously from it.
The one thing you have time to note is the object entering the Earth's atmosphere from high up in the sky, yes. Burning up on re-entry.
Rattrap finishes his surfing. Then he dodges some Sentinel fire in a very cocky way as cheesy workout music plays. Another time I didn't really enjoy the joke. Back at the Predacon working site, they've got these light up worker drones. And it just reminded me just how rarely we see them using any sort of external tool like this. So often it's just, whatever tool fits in their body or something. Like we see Rattrap pulling out of his forearms, some explosives in this episode. But he's not lugging around a bag of hacking tools and stuff. But anyway, I dug it. Those little flashlight worker drones.
Is that the first time they appear in the series?
I think so.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Then we do check off another, or is this maybe our first Beast Wars bingo moment? We get a slow motion shot of Rattrap jumping onto the ladder and then dangling precariously from it.
That was the first one, yes. That's what I noted.
Yeah. And then Sentinel shoots the ladder in such a way that it explodes it. It seems like Sentinel has started to use some more dangerous stuff. So maybe if they just advertise that aspect of Sentinel to Dinobot, he wouldn't have poo-pooed the idea and none of this would have happened in the first place.
Yeah, maybe it should have been Dinobot being trapped in the ship so, Sentinel can earn some respect.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody's going to say, oh, well, Sentinel must be pretty badass if it took out Rattrap.
This is a good point. Oh, can I mention a couple of other things about this series of scenes?
Yeah.
I noticed some homages, maybe they were intentional, maybe they were not, to a few different movies. Like him alone in the ship reminded me a little of Alien. It reminded me a little of 2001: A Space Odyssey. You have to fight the ship. And then when he's in the elevator shaft, that really reminded me of Die Hard. When he's trying to jump from the elevator doorway to one of the floors.
Yeah.
I thought there were some homages there, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And then I guess a few episodes ago in Equal Measures, we were talking about, was Cheetor in a hallway or an air vent? And I was like, why would a robot spaceship have an air vent or an air duct? I guess it was, because here, the stuff Rattrap was crawling through seems like it could not serve any purpose other than being air vents and ducts.
It's funny. I was watching the episode with my fiance. She had the exact same qualms. She's like, how big are these air vents? And like, how big is Rattrap? Like, it seems like it's big for an air vent, but kind of small if it's a hallway. And I was like, Andy said like the exact same thing.
Yeah. Back at Tigatron spying on the Predacons, he activates stealth mode to spy on the Predacons. That's a thing I think we don't ever hear about again. In the audio design, I could tell because you just heard a little bit of the clacking and not any of the usual servo sounds that we usually hear when these characters are moving around. But it was just funny because if stealth mode is a thing, why wasn't Rattrap using it when he was infiltrating the Predacon base last episode? Or maybe he was and he just didn't say it. But then Tigatron is still able to draw his weapon and fight. So I just wonder, well, did he automatically switch to battle mode in that case? Because presumably there has to be some trade-off for being in stealth mode. Otherwise, why not just always be in stealth mode?
Maybe there's some sort of protocol where your body or computer knows when your cover is blown and then it just goes into battle mode.
Yeah. And it is funny. We do hear, this might be the only episode where we also hear the term battle mode. Because Dinobot, when he's poo-pooing Sentinel, he says, oh, a Predacon in battle mode will never be taken down by this. And then later on, Optimus orders all the Maximals into battle mode. So, stealth mode and battle mode. Maybe they only exist in this episode. We'll see. But anyway, Tigatron shoots at all the Predacons and manages to get their explosive device away from them. Meanwhile, Rattrap has made it to the Maximal computer core. It is surrounded by some sort of plasma moat. It was unclear to me if it is always surrounded by a plasma moat or if that was just something Sentinel activated just now.
Ooh.
Either way, we get another shot of dangling precariously over something, in this case, the plasma.
There you go.
Cutting back to Tigatron as the big vibration explosion device goes off. All the Maximals are like, whoa, a big hole has just exploded behind our base. I'm sure we'll definitely be seeing this in every episode, and it won't just be disappeared next time. Anyway, Maximals enter battle mode. They find Tigatron. I guess it just blew him up vertically that eye, whatever.
It's funny, at that point, when they go, battle mode, and then there's the montage of all of them transforming, and what they do in battle mode is they turn around and run 4 feet and stop. It was just like a great battle, guys.
Yeah.
A couple of other observations about Tigatron. When he went into stealth mode, I thought it would have been really funny if he had done the Looney Tunes walking around on your tippy toes at that point, like that. So,
if he hides behind a lamp post that is far too narrow for him, but he nonetheless fits behind it.
As a plucked cello play. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. So I thought that would have been funny. And there are some slapstick moments like that later in the series. Thankfully, there are not that many. Also, I've been playing a lot of Helldivers 2 recently, and you can try to attempt stealth, but then there are times where you're doing stealth and you're taking some chances, and then at some point, one of the enemies will look at you. You're crawling around in the dirt, and then it'll turn around and look at you, and you're just like, oh, shit. And then what you do is like, you just throw a nuclear warhead into the base and start running. It's like the complete dichotomy of stealth. And it's like, oh shit, all right, here's a nuke. Let's get out of here. So like, I thought that was like the 0 to 100 parallel that Tigertron went through.
Yeah, I have heard this one video game critic, goes by Yahtzee Proshaw. I think in the other podcast we do, Scandalous Games, the host of that show, Kevin, I think maybe has referred to Yahtzee a couple times. He refers to that as the cock-up cascade. When you're in some sort of stealth game or something, once you're caught, it just basically spirals into like, oh, right, well, I got caught, so I had to have, open combat with this one dude. And then that attracted 5 dudes. At this point, I'm just running and I'm not stealthy anymore. So like every section of the base I run through, I'm now attracting attention.
What cascade did he call that?
The cock-up cascade.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. I just wanted to make sure.
Then Sentinel deactivates, and they all think that means Rattrap is dead. Optimus says, I'll remember him with honor. Dinobot immediately says, I won't disgrace his memory with lies. He was a stinking, omnivorous pestilence. Still, in some perverse way, I will miss him. Rhinox says, sure, he smelled bad. He was a rat. Which I thought, Rattrap probably doesn't smell that bad, because otherwise he would have had a really hard time sneaking around the Predacon base. Just as he was under that one air vent, all the other Predacons would have been like, why does it stink like Rattrap in here?
Oh, I assumed all the Predacons didn't shower the same way Rattrap doesn't shower.
Oh, okay. But here's where we get the confirmation that Rhinox is Rattrap's best friend. He says, sure, he smelled bad, he was a rat, but he was my best friend. And then Tigatron went in to let Rhinox pet him. That was nice. And I laughed out loud that we get the iris starts closing in to fake out the end of the episode. And then it opens back up and Rattrap is like, boo-hoo.
That was pretty funny and touching.
Yeah, there is not a security system made that I can't beat. Rattrap has won the day. Any other thoughts about a better Mousetrap?
No, I really enjoyed the episode. I really enjoyed seeing Rattrap do his thing.
Yeah, there's a couple Rattrap episodes in a row.
One question that my fiance asked me that I wanted to run by you. She asked, what are his proportions? She thought, because she had never really seen an episode of Beast Wars before, that when he went into beast mode, he then shrunk down to the size of a regular mouse. But I said, I'm assuming that Rattrap is like 5 feet tall in robot mode and a 6 foot long mouse in beast mode. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm closer to you. Like maybe tip to tail, he's 6 feet long, but I feel like just like nose to butt in rat form, I feel like 3 feet, maybe.
Oh, okay.
His rat form is about as big as the rat backpack he wears, because unlike the original Transformers, none of the Beast Wars characters change in size when they transform. So,
as far as Beast Wars bingo moments, you mentioned the 2 instances of Rattrap hanging precariously. I think that's the first time we had 2 hits on the same bingo. And how many times do you think Maximize and Terrorize were said in the episode?
I think Maximize twice, and I'm going to guess 0 times for Terrorize.
In aggregate, you guessed correctly. I only had Maximize being said once and Terrorize being said once.
Oh, okay. Also, I will correct you on behalf of our presumably diligent fans. I think in equal measures, we had a couple hits of Cheetor dangling.
You're right. They love that.
Yeah. I get it. On a kids' show, there are limited types of peril that are acceptable for a kids' show.
I'm also thinking about adding a couple of things to Beast Wars Bingo, and I wanted to get your thoughts. In this episode, Dinobot says, it appears that you have made a better mousetrap. So I was thinking, should we have a Beast Wars Bingo for when a character says the name of the episode?
Maybe. I don't know that it happens all that often. But yeah, we can mention it when it does.
And there's another thing that I was really remiss in not including from the beginning. And that is some body horror shit happening to Optimus, which seems like it happens in every other episode.
Well, yeah, so he was discorporated and put in the ship and chain of command. Yeah, when this episode were you thinking of?
Oh, I'm just queuing this up for episodes we have coming up.
Okay.
There's also the moment where he gets taken into the ship like the alien ship, and then is astral projecting to everybody else.
Yeah.
And I think there's one other thing. So I feel like there's already been like 3 instances of this so far.
Yeah. Optimus definitely goes through some things over the course of this series.
Yeah, it's real bullshit.
Yeah, not apeshit at all.
Not apeshit.
All right, then that will do it for our discussion of A Better Mousetrap. I've been Andy Hunter.
I've been Phil Thomas.
And now we have talked about Beast Wars.